Okay, hi, I'm Brad Rourke. I am President and CEO of Scotty Resources. And we'll get the presentation load up here. Anyways, Scotty Resources is a exploration company, mostly gold, up in northwest British Columbia, the Golden Triangle. And don't think I need to explain the Golden Triangle. We'll see if we can get my present. Oh, there we go. Okay. Anyway, so I could fill in a little bit. This is my 7th year running this company. Kind of an accidental CEO. I never meant to be in this business. I was living in the area and I started out as an investor, trying to help out just some local guys. And 6 months into that operation and wrote a couple checks, brought some of my friends' money into it. I figured out pretty quick that I was going to lose that money and I took this company over. And so that was mid-2016, and up for the first 3 years, I self-funded it, so to speak. No one ever really heard of me until Beaver Creek 2019. So that's kind of the first time I came out and took money from the public. Anyways, and so, challenging times, everything's down and to the right. In the market, as we don't need to explain, but I think Scotty's been actually bucking that trend a little bit, where if you look at our stock chart, we are been sideways. So as we go to these conferences and talk to all our colleagues, and we're all frustrated and we want something to happen, and I complain, actually my colleagues tell me just to kind of button it up, because again, we really haven't created any value for anybody, but for the most part, we haven't lost anybody money either. So that's almost like a new, sideways is the new up for the moment. So, I think when, things do turn around, of which we all anticipate will, Scotty might have that ability to really be one of the first green shoots. And mostly because, in these times we've been consolidating land. I've done all this things, I started with 400 hectares. We're just at almost 60,000 now. I've done a dozen transactions. And I think it was a little bit easier because I lived in the area. It allowed me to kind of pick up these lands where probably for a lot cheaper than anybody, like if a bigger name came in and tried to pick these up. Oh, here we go. So again, we're in the Golden Triangle. I'll make some forward-looking statements. I think that slide's in there somewhere. There we go. And as you can see, we're down into the southern part of the Golden Triangle. I like to point out, everyone knows Seabridge, the world's largest deposit of gold. Newcrest just bought my neighbor, the Pretium assets, and Ascot. Now, Ascot has a few challenges, but I believe they're going to get through those, and I have a front row seat to see how they've been operating, and I think Derek's done a heck of a job. Just kind of just got caught up in the wrong time and had a lender problem. I do believe that's going to get worked out, and you can't come into the area without me knowing, right? It's a small town. You can't rent a car. You can't rent a helicopter, because I know all these people personally. We work in the Nisga'a Nation, and again, I've been coaching those kids in hockey for many, many years, so it gives me a little bit of advantage. I don't want to take that for granted, but because I raised my family in the same area. I like to point out Tudor, GT Gold, Skeena, and SK Mining. And the reason I like to point that out is if you go back to 2018, 17, those are all $30 million market cap companies. And even in this challenging time, you see the value that can be created. So at least you can see that it's possible. We're in the right area. As I said, we've done a lot. I started with 400 hectares of a past producing mine, and that's what got me interested. Two things that got me interested in is the Scotty Gold Mine produced and recovered 16.2 grams per ton in the 1980s. It was Don McLeod's first mine, and basically he found a vein on surface and started mining it. The fatal flaw, even though he was recovering a half ounce per ton, is he borrowed $20 million from the Royal Bank of Canada. And when you borrowed $20 million, it was 22% interest. So when the commodity price rolled over, he just couldn't get out from under that weight. And so the fact that we recognize that here's a past producing mine that no one ever really worked on ever again except his son, Bruce McLeod, is a very well-known guy. And he kind of drilled it in 2003, 2004. But that's when gold was $600 an ounce and the Canadian dollar was almost at par. So different economics than what we see today. But besides that, we're the only other company ever to drill on this thing in the last 40 years. I like to point out that there's 7 past producing mines on that tenure, even though just way up where it says Scotty Gold, we're really working on just 2% of the tenure. We're doing mapping and on the other stuff. But really, the meat of what we're going to talk about is just a very small piece of it. But I think even with our valuation, you can see a lot of value. Infrastructure is something that needs to be considered when you're up in this area, and there's nothing that we lack. That is Scotty Gold up on the left. That is the road. That is the Bruce Jack power line. On top of that, we still possess a mining permit. Now, we're an exploration company, but that might be interesting to the next logical acquirer when the time is right. Much like Osisko did the Barkerville assets. It's a small mine permit. It's 75,000 ton a year, but it just makes us a little bit unique. 7 kilometers of underground workings. There's still an old mill. You can still push the locomotives up and down the track. The rock's very competent, and it doesn't have to be dewatered or anything. It's in the mountain. It doesn't go down. It's just literally in the mountain. So it's kind of interesting that way. Also in the town of Stewart, just 40 kilometers down that road, there's deep water shipping, and then of course just the support, whether it's grocery stores and just when we run about 70 people a year. We have a short time frame where we have to do a lot of work, so it's pretty intense. But to have that support from the town has been really good for us. This is really, we don't need to look at these values. They're some fantastic. These are what we've drilled in the past. Nothing to do with what we've already done this season, and we'll get to that in a moment. But what I'm trying to show you is we're going to talk a lot about the Blueberry Zone. But we started, Scotty was the flagship. I think everything is shifting to the Blueberry, and we'll get to that in a moment. But it's just a plan view. I want to see how close they are together. Again, the darker line is the Grand Duke Hall Road. They've been driving along that thing for 50 years. And then a little spur road to Scotty Gold. And, even Scotty, we didn't drill. We drilled a little bit this year at Scotty. But we really had to pick and choose our targets only because economics, and it was really going into a challenging year. But we ended up drilling 17,000 meters of exploration drilling this season. Mid-July, I was going, I'm going to pull a drill off. We're going to preserve money. But we liked what we saw, and we said, we're in the business to drill holes. We liked what we saw, so we spent all the money. I'm fine now, and we'll get to that in a moment. But we really thought that things are going to change. Shareholders gave us some money. Let's drill some holes. So, and again, beautiful values, and please come see me because we could just talk for a very, very long time with that. But really, and before I get into Blueberry, up until this season, we've been drilling 4 different zones all over that tenure. And we've had success on all 4. But this year we just focused on Blueberry because it's my lowest hanging fruit. No helicopters needed. We proved up a theory that Thomas, my geologist, had a theory a couple years ago. It absolutely came true. I think he's going to win an award, only for the fact that for 50 years, everyone known the geology's there, but it's all been the thought that was east-west, these east-west veins. And Thomas goes, I think this is a lithological contact, and these east-west veins we're seeing are just a bleed out from what's happening along the contact. And on the left side there, we have an andesite package or volcanics, and on the right side is sediments. And where that contact is where we've been drilling over the last 2 years, coming up with the theory. And 78% of our holes are hitting on that so far. So it's quite exciting. But as you can see, we kind of scrubbed in a vein there. That's called the Blueberry vein, and that's why I bought this property. And our thinking at that time was the exact same vein sets that we were seeing at the Scotty Gold Mine, which is just 2 kilometers away. Peritite, pyrite, rich, you could see it, very easy to see. But in drilling that vein in 2019, the last hole of the season, and we only put 5 holes into this area, just kind of, pretty frugal. We didn't have much money, but well in advance of hitting that vein, we come up with an intercept of 7.5 grams over 34 meters. Really exciting, but we didn't understand it. It wasn't supposed to be there. And normally we wouldn't even have sent that rock into the lab. It was just disseminated pyrite, nothing sexy about it whatsoever. But we sampled top to bottom, took a lot of advice from a guy named Warwick Board who built the Pritium model. And he just said, look, we would have been fooled, sample top to bottom. So that was really exciting, but Thomas, he didn't understand it. So the next season, went and did a tight little drill program to kind of see the geometry of this thing. We came up with some really, really fantastic values, as you can see. But it was after that drill season, that's where Thomas came up with this. No, the vein is just a bleed out, and it was a theory. So then the next season, we went in there and we tested that theory. And we only, the perforated line, this is kind of our rendition of where that lithological contact is. And where you see the solid line, it's the only place we had control where we could see the contact. Where the perforated line is just all glacial till. We're at the top of the valley bottom. So we just drilled, we were testing this theory. And I don't know which one you want me to point out there, but there's a lot of good values there. So essentially, Thomas was right. So then what we've done this season, so far, so I've released, I think, 5 news releases so far. I still have 10,000 meters that we haven't put out. I think I still haven't seen 40% of our program. So we really went for it this year. And again, we've been putting out just bombs. It's been beautiful. We've stepped out 400 meters long strike to the south, and just 9 grams over 16 meters. And that, again, where we drilled down here to the south, was the only place where we could see where that contact was. In between, there's a 400-meter step out. It goes under a lake bed that has no water in it. The lake has since drained out. They didn't have the ability to explore that in the 80s. But, so we just kind of filled in, of course, where the upper section is, and look at where those drill pads are. Just on the road. We've been just literally pushing a drill around with a D6 and just drilling off the road. But we've stepped out, and then we've gone at depth on this thing. And basically, so if you look at this contour model that we put, this does not include this season's drilling. Okay, so that's basically the plan view I just showed you. That's a great contour model. And again, beautiful, beautiful values that you can see there. But this is the one I want to burn into everybody's mind. Okay, so there's that original 7,000 meters. That's the contour model in colored there is only 3 seasons and 7,000 meters of drilling. I drilled 15,000 meters on that this season. We just completed in October 1st. And what you can see is, again, a series of beautiful, beautiful intercepts. But what I really like is, look, the distribution of those are just wonderful. So now, 1.4 kilometers in strike, and we pushed her down to 400 meters, and it shows there's no constraints that suggest that, we're going to have a lot of drill targets for next season. But what I like, it's filling in nicely. A geologist, when you looked at the original grade contour map, they're going, oh, you're just drilling ore shoots. And we're like, well, I think it's this data bias. We don't know that. We were just drilling where we could see the contact. But as you see in here, 7/7 in between there, we're filling that in. But really, on the northern part, we got a 13/12, beautiful. And let's go to the goalpost far over in the 9/16, right? Wow, and then we pushed it down, and you're looking at 7/24. So that's just, again, both goalposts and pushing it down. Very, very exciting. And then we showed every drill hole we've ever drilled. The dead ones are in there, all the little dots. We do drill a couple dusters, but like I said, 78% of our holes are hitting releasable gold. So that's quite a success rate. And then you can see where all assays are still pending to come. So we still have a whole bunch of news flow yet to come. I anticipate I'll get those assays back in the next 2-3 weeks. And then we'll see, we'll have news kind of going into the new year and right with that January, February time, we'll be finished. So again, that is the only map I want people to look at, and we're pretty proud of that. Again, a plan view. So where we are now is now we have confidence. So now we run geophysics over top of the lake bed. Again, we can just drive on the lake bed. And now we know exactly where the contact is. And we did a little EM to kind of give us some hot spots. So our targeting for next season is quite exciting because we just proven that the mineralization continues. We are hitting the structures where we want to see them. You can get fooled in this area, but so far so good. So we're ready to go for next year. We've already secured 6 drills for next season. So we're really going to lean into it hard. So great. We got great geology. We're in the right area. We have the infrastructure. And I think we also have the team. So this is the board and some of the management team. I'm pretty proud of it. Again, I didn't mean to be in this company. What I'm proud of is nobody on that board knew each other before the formation of it. And I think I've put together quite a team. And I truly run the company via the board. Well, there's Thomas and I, and Thomas is just doing meetings. He's here. If you want a more of a technical explanation, he's here. But Ernie Mast is well-known, kind of a C-suite guy, Cobre Panama. He's currently running a little junior copper company, but he was the COO of New Gold. So he's kind of a C-suite kind of guy. And then I have a junior mining legend, John Williamson. I'm very scared of John. He pulls no punches and really, really keeps me in check. But he knows this junior market quite well, so it's great. Steve Stein is, we did a company. I was a founding shareholder of Black Diamond Camps. That went from 0 to a $2 billion company on a napkin. So he's more from the service side, but he's an accredited board member. And then Christina Body, my corporate secretary, we shared her with GT Gold. She's been around. And my CFO is from Redfern, but same company that does K9 too. So I'm in really good hands on all sides there. The last part is a corporate sheet. So we're issued and outstanding about 243 million shares. I'm pretty happy about that too. When you look that we've done 12 transactions, there's no debt on that land. I had to use a little bit of paper. But in 2019, no one ever heard of me, right? And so you look who's come to support us since then. It's a pretty good list, right? We have a pretty prominent family out of Switzerland that I was just meeting with. They own 9.9% of the company. Eric Sprott, still over 10%. Yamana Gold came in and put an investment in the company about 18 months ago. They're at 7%. We're going to see what happens there. I know Kai put a rumor out. It didn't come from me, but anyway, so he has a rumor out there that those assets, smaller assets, are going to go towards Peter Marrone. I don't know if that's true or not. I really don't. But then we've also brought in some funds, whether it's Gold 2000, Phoenix Gold Fund, Extract, even Willem Middelkoop wrote us a check. So I think for the size of our company, we're pretty proud. And again, this has all happened when everything's down and to the right. So we've gone, the timing we didn't get right, but we're hitting geology. We have no debt. And my ability to raise money, it hasn't been an issue. It's just trying to balance the cost of that money. So I'm not worried about that. I think you could see a lot of opportunity here. Again, if we're all here because we think the market's going to turn in our favor, we all believe in the commodity. But at least if you just go look at my chart, we haven't lost any money. So are we going to be one of these green shoots? I'm still just a $50 million market cap. And I think in the past, I still got a couple of minutes. I could talk.
I want to ask you some questions.
Please ask some questions.
First, thank you very much.
Okay.
I've met Brett, I hope you remember,
I do.
years ago on a party at PDAC, and this was the first time when I get in touch with Scotty Resources, and you were a micro cap, nothing about 50 million market cap, and you nearly had nothing.
That's right.
Just old data, old mines, and this is really a fantastic development, especially when we see that the markets in the last 5-6 years, we are not always like this. Like in 2016, we had a good half year.
Yeah.
And in 2 years, last year, yeah. So you did a really good job. But I have to ask you, Yamana is now Agnico. So Agnico is the owner of the 7% at your company and of the, I think, 8 at Ascot.
Yeah, they're both own about the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they will now do the deal with Pan American to buy Yamana to get Malartic. Yeah.
Yep.
Very impressive. But what will happen with these? And you just said this rumor Kai announced on Twitter. Yeah.
And Listen, I do not know. I mean, I have my own speculations, but I can be wrong. It does make sense. The feeling I get is Peter Maroney certainly is not retiring. That I'm certain of.
He's only 62.
He's only 62, but I mean, this guy's just a machine. I do speak to him from time to time. I don't know what's happening with that. And again, either way, it doesn't matter, right? I've had great conversations with Agnico Eagle over the last few years, as I have with many companies. I'm not interested in selling at the bottom. I did not work for 7 years as hard as I have. Now's not the time for us. We've always said in any interview I've done, and I talk lots, I know, but you can go on my webpage and look at. All I've ever said is we want to show a pathway to 1 million ounces. That was my goal, and basically I have almost $1 million cash of my children's money in this company. Oh my gosh, in a penny stock, which is, to me, is like, oh, I never meant to do this. But those goalposts are moving. I'm pretty sure I don't have 1 million ounces. So that's all I can say. I mean, I don't know, but you go look on my presentation, you look at that, you can do your own, gravity's 2.9, and you throw that through your own grade calculator. We have a lot more work to do. We're excited, we're on to something, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, we will see.
We will see. Yeah, I can tell you that I'm popular these days. That's all I can say. Yeah,
Okay, but you will be here today and tomorrow,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you can have one-to-ones with this guy and ask him. Maybe he will tell us more when there's not an audience.
Or if we have a glass of wine. But and Thomas is here. So again, if you want a better technical explanation, I do have the brains here. I am the arm waver. So we're happy to be here. And I do have a little bit of time tomorrow. I only have 4 or 5 meetings. So there are a few slots if someone wants some more information.
Yeah.
I took up a half hour, eh?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, everybody. And good luck out there.